Good evening, fellow netizens of our lovely continent, Africa. Wherever you are in the world, we are inviting you tonight on eNitiate Visual Radio.
It's been 7 days since we last connected with you, and it sounds just like yesterday.
It certainly does, and I was so excited, Vincent, when I got to the gate and they opened for me. I thought, yay! The lights are on and what have you, and we get to the studio, stuff is happening, the technology is behaving. It's going to be fun tonight.
It's going to be fun indeed. And I was also a bit concerned because there was some stage 1 and stage 2 load shedding affected earlier today. And I was like, come on. But hey, good to see that everything is in order. We are broadcasting live from Radio Junto, which is our home. But this show in particular is simply known as eNitiate Visual Radio. And I'm your co-host, Vince West.
And I am Bra Willie. Together we drive this show every Wednesday now since the end of November. We do lots and lots of work in preparation for the show. That's how passionate we are about the stuff that we talk about on this show. And hopefully tonight again, you are going to be the witness to the greatest content we are going to share.
So what we know is that people from all across the globe do tune into Radio Junto to listen to this show. So we cannot thank you enough, wherever you may be on the continent or internationally, for tuning on to the show. This show is all about taking digital Africa to the world. And we cook up a menu that brings you what's been happening around the continent. We also look at what has been happening in the country of South Africa, which is our base. And we also go micro granular and look at what we did at our organization as eNitiate Integrated Digital Solutions.
Awesome stuff, Vince. I suppose I can't say more. This reminds me. During my debating days, and I know you will relate because you did lots of it yourself.
Yeah.
We have. I even remember this gentleman, but I'm not going to call him by name now. He has since passed on. May his soul rest in peace. He'd start by saying, you've taken words out of my mouth, but he'd go on forever.
I know what you're talking about. I can't ever erase the memory of those debating days, because one of the people that used to be my debating coaches, this is at national competition level, was Eusebius McKaiser.
Yes.
He used to make sure that our debates are fine-tuned to the highest level, and it's good to see that what he preached to us, he practices it to this day.
He's so good at what he does. I really envy that guy.
Yeah, it is.
And wherever you are, Eusebius, you must know that you're one of the guys that I hold in very high regard.
I too, myself too, because I think back then we just thought, here's another Rhodes University scholar. He was doing political science. We just thought blah 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 blah. He was just another one of those. But if you look at his track record since then to now, it's like, man, I was surrounded by the best.
Absolutely, and it's interesting you're talking Rhodes.
Exactly.
Well, this is more a South African thing, guys. Our history comes far when it comes to segregation, and the gentleman Cecil Rhodes is actually one of the guys who contributed to the segregation process that we experienced in the south of the continent. So there's all sorts of happening right now in 2 universities. Yeah, one is University of Cape Town, because that's where his statue is. And the other is Rhodes University, because it was named after him. Anyway, we were just mentioning it in passing. That's not really what this show is about.
Funny enough, I beg to differ, Barawili.
Okay.
We are using these news headlines as the icebreaker.
I suppose you're right.
If you look at the content that we've prepared to do with academia, later on in the show, this particular show is partly about a bit of academia, but of a good light.
I agree, though. I agree, Vince. You are absolutely right. Okay, remember that this show is brought to you by eNitiate Integrated Solutions. We are a digital content marketing outfit based out in Johannesburg, to be specific, in a suburb called Woodmead. You can find us on eNitiate.solutions. We are also on many of the main social networks. Just look out for us. On Twitter, we are _initiators. On Facebook, we are eNitiators. We are also on Instagram as eNitiate_UNLTD, and we are also on LinkedIn and G+.
Okay, I can't add anything on top of that.
I've taken words out of your mouth.
You've taken words. However, Brother Willie, let's talk about eNitiate a bit more. The roundup of the past 7 days, I was there. We've been doing a lot of running around.
My Lord.
A lot of running around. Sleepless nights.
And I'm loving it so much, in a very funny way, with all the hiccups that we've experienced.
Sleepless nights, but it's all good. It's all good. But we're writing some business, eh?
We are, which is great. In fact, we were busy in the last 7 days with 4 different
submissions.
Some of them are new business prospects. Others are business that we are already running. And we've been delivering, which is really heartening for us, Vincent. I'm really very proud of the team that we have. We are a bunch of very enthusiastic guys.
Yeah, we are.
Awesome.
We are indeed. It's unfortunate that, obviously, due to client confidentiality, we can't break the code names of these projects that we're busy with. But trust you me, we're all about taking digital Africa to the world.
We certainly are. If you want to know anything about, the clients that we work with and those we have worked with, and a few of the projects, we are actually busy now updating the website with our projects so that people can see exactly what we have been doing. Give us a week and visit us so that you can have a sense for the stuff that we do. We obviously don't want to talk about it on radio because we have to be seen to be unbiased, given that we'll be talking to people coming from all sorts of different walks of life. So we don't want to be seen to be favoring other people over the rest, as it were. So we will abide by that code.
Speaking of code and stuff like that, we did well in terms of our SEO on the eNitiate.solutions website.
We certainly did.
And a funny one, coding also kind of like made us go nuts a day or two ago.
Yeah.
I won't say any more than that. But
and by the way, the process hasn't come to
you're kidding me.
I'll tell you more about it here after. Sorry, fellow netizens, we can't talk about it on radio, but we're having lots of fun with one of
with coding,
our web development projects. It's been lots of fun, that's for sure.
Okay, but back to our website. We did phenomenally well, and we're seeing the results of our SEO efforts.
Yes, we certainly are. We're getting better and better every day. I'm actually loving the fact that we're seeing the results of all the effort that we've put into the work that we do across the board, both for ourselves and for the clients that we are rendering services to.
Okay, so hey, speaking of clients that we're rendering services to, if you are potentially one of those people that are struggling with web traffic to your site, eNitiate.solutions, go there and it will take you to somewhere where you can connect with us and we can assist you.
Absolutely. In fact, maybe let's end it on this note, just so that we're not gloating for too long because we've been at it for the last 10 minutes now, but we can't help it, guys. Here's what we want to end this on. If you are looking for content that is relevant, content that is contagious, and the type of content that will let netizens take a specific call to action, come speak to us.
Simple as that.
Absolutely.
So that was our brief sum up of what we've been up to in the past 7 days.
It was very brief, wasn't it?
It was 10 minutes.
It was African brief.
Yeah. Okay, that's enough about us. Let's look at now the country. it's the first quarter of the year is almost done.
It is almost, yeah. Kids will be going to school holidays. In fact, a lot of the public schools are closing this Friday.
Exactly. So, what, other than the Cricket World Cup disappointment, what has been going on that digital netizens need to know about?
Look, we need to speak about cricket, even though we're not going to go on forever. I don't know cricket. I must be the first one to admit. Hence, I'm happy to be watching the highlights as opposed to watch the whole game, because I can't follow what happens. But suffice to say that I was speaking to somebody who claims to know quite a bit about cricket. And the point he made about our team, by the way, guys, the Proteas, who are South Africa's cricket national team, they lost the semi-final yesterday against New Zealand. Here's what he said. He said, you know what? It was a tough game. We were playing against a bloody good team, so we should actually pat ourselves in the back that we put up a good fight.
I guess that's all you can say.
Absolutely.
That's all we can say. So, good luck to the finalists.
Yes,
I think
yes.
it's India and Australia.
They're playing tomorrow, the second semi-final.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, good luck to them, and yeah.
And to
best.
the Proteas, as far as we are aware, you're coming back home. Come back home with your heads held up high. We still love you regardless. You've gone really very far. Semi-final stage is not something to frown on.
So, speaking of going far, something that touched on the rest of the continent this week, and it's been very topical here locally in South Africa, is the issue of a DJ, and a local DJ who's also an entrepreneur. Netizens have been claiming that he has gone too far, to the extent of fabricating a Forbes Africa cover.
Well, it's a bit of a debatable one, because incidentally, for those of you who may or may not know, we're talking about the phenomenal DJ Spoo. I'm saying phenomenal deliberately because in my books, Spoo is one of the guys that I really, really respect. You know, he really worked hard, coming literally from the dusty streets of Tembisa. And Tembisa is one of the townships in Gauteng, dear netizens, for those of you who don't know anything about South Africa. He worked himself all the way from the dusty streets to where he is now, where he's really made a lot of success of himself. He's in all sorts of interesting businesses and stuff. If you want to know anything about Spoo Leope, go check him out on Google. What DJ Spoo has done lately is that he has launched an energy drink called MoFaya, MoFaya. And as you can imagine, from a South African perspective, MoFaya is being pitted against one of the biggest players in the world. What's this energy drink's name?
Red Bull.
Exactly.
Just a second there. Do you know about another energy drink called Burn?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'll Google it with you, and then we'll talk about it some other time.
Anyway, Spoo has recently launched his energy drink called MoFaya, and he's been really working hard to get it out there. He is on radio, one of the biggest national radio stations in the country, in South Africa, called Metro FM. So he's been using the opportunity that he's on Metro FM and really punting his brand. But what Spoo has done, Metro FM were having the awards, music awards at the end of February, and we spoke about it because we were tracking the awards. He went on stage with his brand in his hand, and that got him into trouble. Because the view is that he should have paid for that space, because there were other sponsoring brands that paid for the space to be on Metro FM Music Awards, and he didn't. So apparently he got suspended, and in the process, which later on, he was on the Forbes Africa cover. And you know, when the netizens first saw it, they were raving and congratulating him and all those sorts of things. and it turned out that it wasn't an authentic cover. We're saying this because Forbes Africa disputed that it's an authentic cover, so we can't take their word for it because it's their magazine. And it has created a whole lot of hoo-ha. Here's the interesting thing about it, though, because for us it's not so much what happened, whether, the DJ Sbu was faking it or not. The interesting thing for us is how, through an example like DJ Sbu's, we are seeing a classic case of convergence of media. Now, let's track this. He went on the Metro FM Music Awards stage with his MoFaya drink in his hand. That was then spoken about on social media. He got suspended. It was spoken about on social media. It went to print and all those sorts of things. Subsequently, he went on social media with the Forbes Africa cover. Lots and lots of talk. Traditional media picked on it. Print, TV, radio.
I see the pattern.
And
here.
it's back on social media again.
Right.
So it's a classic example of what's happening insofar as the convergence of media is concerned. And now the questions that are being asked are around ambush marketing. Because, as it is claimed, Sbu ambushed other brands. Because, he drew the attention to himself and his MoFaya on the Metro FM stage. He has done so again on the Forbes cover page. So he's basically riding on the waves of these brands. But one of the questions is, one, is it legal? The other question is, has it tarnished his brand now that it's been found out, especially from the Forbes perspective, that it's actually an inauthentic, if there's a word like that, inauthentic cover?
Brawili, let's take a pause. It's now 8:17.
Let's do so.
This is eNitiate Visual Radio on Radio Junto. When we come back from this brief pause, we answer this exact question.
Absolutely.
As Brawili was on ANN7 earlier today to answer the question that would such an eventuality tarnish the brand of DJ Sbu?
Absolutely.
Don't go away. We're just taking a water break. We're back just after this. We're back from that water break, and we're still continuing with answering the one question that is connected to this DJ Sbu saga.
Yes.
To all the netizens out there that will know how big the impact of the DJ Sbu brand is online.
Yeah.
Question is, this kind of a negative sentimented story, would it cause any tarnish to his online brand or even his general brand?
Yeah, I found this to be an interesting question. By the way, netizens, those of you who may not know, ANN7 is one of the independent TV channels in South Africa. It's been around for just over a year. I think I stand to be connected. So they invited me to an interview at 1 o'clock GMT plus 2 today, to talk about ambush marketing and DJ Sbu. And the question at the end was, is this going to tarnish his brand? My response to it, Vincent, tell me if you agree. My response to it is, it depends. And this is my explanation. One, I tend to find that netizens, and especially social netizens, are forgiving of human brands more than they do corporate brands. That's the first thing. The second thing is the memory lifespan of social netizens is really very short, because there is so much happening on social media that people don't always remember what happened last month.
That's true.
So, depending on what he does, people will move on. There's tons of stuff. There's topics that are trending left, right, and center, and they will forget about it. We must remember that DJ Sbu, it's not the first time that he is involved in some controversy on social media. This happened prior to the national elections in South Africa. It was around April, May, when he had a bust up with Julius Malema. And, people moved on, even when they had an issue with some of them anyway, voiced their concern with how he came across. But they moved on. So I suspect that it's going to be the same thing. Some people will see it as, DJ Sbu just being in jest, showing his prowess when it comes to photoshopping of stuff. And, they will laugh it off and life will go on.
Brawil, while you have a look at this,
yes,
that I'm passing on to you now, here's my answer.
The Burn energy drink.
This is Burn energy drink.
Okay.
And it's a Coca-Cola product.
Aha.
Yeah.
So does it mean that play didn't work?
Well, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that's the case, but now I'm just talking in the context of MoFaya.
When did they launch this, by the way?
Interesting stuff, because that's what I foresee as the next scandal to do with MoFaya, because the similarities are just way too much.
Well, fellow netizens, what we're going to do, I'm seeing this brand for the first time.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is we're going to put both brands side by side.
Yeah.
And put it on our social networks, on eNitiate social networks. You be the judge.
Yeah. So this one will go on to the social networks and we'll discuss it there.
Yes.
But my response or my comment to what you've started, I just feel the point that I mostly agree with is that the shots, the span of news on social media networks is very short.
It really is.
Something bigger could come up literally in the next 24 hours, and it could just put out this fire. Get it? Put out this fire.
Yes,
so
indeed. Is it pun intended?
Of course. So the latest official story is that DJ Sbu and his business partner on the MoFaya venture, the business partner happens to be a lawyer. They've approached Forbes Africa because they wanted to just reach an amicable understanding that he, as DJ Sbu, does not have control of what the netizens put out onto the networks.
Yes.
So that was his.
Do you want to explain that story just a little bit for netizens who may not know about this story?
Okay.
What is it about this he doesn't have control issue?
Okay. So according to him and his lawyer,
yes,
they are saying they, as DJ Sbu or the MoFaya representatives, did not have anything to do with that fabricated cover. So they said they saw it. They also found it on the networks, and they are also, in inverted commas, distancing themselves from it. They're not taking responsibility for it. That's what they mean to say. They can't be held responsible for what netizens put out there. So they're feeling that somebody who strongly advocates for MoFaya, and I think it's somebody that also makes the connection with, for example, the most influential Africans list that was put out, I think last year, and Sbu was one of those Africans, according to Forbes. And I think it's somebody that just put one and one together, and they just put something together and put it out there.
It's interesting you mentioning that, and this is props to Sbu. If there's one thing about Sbu, he's a very generous soul, and he is generous in all senses. We put out a tweet earlier in the day talking about the fact that I was at ANN7. He retweeted that.
Okay.
We put out a tweet later on tonight to say we are talking about ambush marketing, and we copied him in the tweet. He retweeted that too.
I think
he's a very generous soul, and props to him.
Generous soul, but a very savvy soul also.
Sure, you can't be successful and not be savvy, and really Sbu is very successful in his own right.
Exactly, because I see him literally playing a chess game and just moving pawns, and other pawns even moving before he touches them.
Fair.
Because all of this is going a long way on to just creating a great cloud of mentions for his brand.
Well, it certainly is. We actually have the stats that we gleaned to try and understand what has happened, to Smooth's social network stats.
Yeah.
And we've got some interesting stats which we will share in a moment. To give you an idea, and this is in agreement with you, Vince, when you're saying, he understands what this means for his brand, and as a result, he's not just playing it
mindlessly.
No,
because
not.
I think one of the things a smart business person will always do is to notice that he needs to still maintain good relationships with Forbes Africa.
Absolutely. Now,
so, yeah.
Here the stats quickly.
Sure.
This cover, the Forbes cover, and you can look it up, it's everywhere on social media. It was first published on the 18th of March. Okay, and
right.
It has since been republished a few times since then. On the 20th of March, Smooth's okay, let me take you back a month.
That's fine.
On the 23rd of Feb, Smooth was sitting at 415,000 Twitter followers, just over. He is currently sitting, as at the 20th of March, sitting at 426, 26.5 thousand followers.
About another
26.5 thousand followers.
So he gained another about what, 10?
Just over 10.
Just over 10 in less than a month.
Okay. Now, interestingly, when you look at these numbers, it really says that a day he's gaining an average of 237 followers.
Sure.
So he's really done well. The actual number, since the last time, is that he's gained over 12,668,000 new followers in the last month alone.
Yeah.
So he's really done well. And in my mind, Spoo does want to have followers, because that way he'll be able to have a bigger reach, and hopefully he can convert those followers into actual consumers of his new brand called MoFaya.
By the way, you do know that he's launched other brands also.
He's done lots.
As in and it's still in the consumables sector.
Yeah.
He launched a toilet paper brand. It's called Ntofo Ntofo.
Yeah.
And he also launched a bread. Yeah, a bread
I'm not
brand.
surprised.
The brand is called Nzomela.
And at one stage he launched a SIM card.
He did.
He did this, I think, in conjunction with, was it ATA back then? I think it was.
I just can't remember. Yeah.
Or was it Cell C? It was quite a long time ago. He was still operating under his alter ego, Mzege at that stage. So, Spoo, whatever happens, whether your brand is going to be tarnished, which I don't believe is going to be the case, because you're really a very savvy guy and you know what you're doing. This is one of those chapters. I don't know for sure whether it was planned on your part. Whatever could have happened, I'm certain that you will continue to be successful, and I'm one of your supporters, that's for sure.
Okay.
So keep on keeping on.
It's 8:29 and we are halfway through the show, and I think it's also a good point to note that we've touched on what happened at eNitiate.
Yeah.
We've touched on what happened in the country, South Africa, and this next half hour now we cast our eyes further up the continent.
Absolutely. And remember, you're listening to eNitiate Visual Radio, brought to you courtesy of eNitiate Integrated Solutions. This is the digital content marketing company. We're really very proud to be part thereof, and we're bringing this show to you on www.radiojunto.co.za.
We're back after this short water break. Okay, we're back after that pause, and we're in the home straight now.
Yeah.
We've got this half hour now to bring it home. We're going to look at what happened in the continent. The issue of Nigeria is making headlines in both good and bad light.
Absolutely. We know that Nigeria has been dogged actually by issues of Boko Haram, but we're glad to note that the election, which was postponed almost 6 weeks ago now, the national election, is going ahead this Saturday on the 28th of March. It's something that we really feel passionate about, dear netizens, because when we start having the tradition of national elections, then we know that democracy is becoming entrenched on our continent, and we need that really very badly. We know that Nigeria has had a history of coups, and many of them, but from the early 90s, they've started to really have regular elections on scheduled dates, and all of which have been smooth. We're having another round of national elections coming this Saturday, and it looks like it's all systems go.
Yeah, 28th of March, and was it the election where the current president promised nationwide Wi-Fi?
Yes, one of the many things, and unfortunately, when it comes to elections, politicians tend to promise all sorts of things. But being that as it may, good luck, Mr. Jonathan.
Nice. I like that you're learning from some of my puns, eh?
I am indeed. You see, I spend too much time with you, Vince.
It's okay.
You are a bad influence, that's for sure.
No,
and I blame Eusebius Makaiza for it.
It's okay. Don't upset the apple cart.
I'm told. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I learned from you today. So I'm also spending too much time with you.
Sure thing.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
So you're still on the mic.
Cool. Still on Nigeria. Okay. I'm not gonna talk anymore about Boko Haram.
Yeah.
Those of you who follow news, you will know what has been the latest. The less we say about Boko Haram, the better. On Nigeria still, we published a post about a week ago, to be exact, on the 18th of March. And the title of this blog post is Africa's Next Steve Jobs. We do believe that even though I hate these comparisons personally, but be that as it may, we do believe that Nigeria is actually the place where the next Steve Jobs will be coming from.
Whoa, that's a very loaded statement.
Well, we are such a brave bunch, Vince, and the more of this we do, the more successful we become, the more we realize we can be brave about some of these statements that we make.
So, was this all because of the 30-year-old Michael Akindele?
Yes, a Nigerian who was described by Forbes, contributor, who's Mfonobong Nsehe, as a serious challenger in the highly competitive smartphone business.
Can I be critical or analytical? Which one?
I don't know. You choose.
Let me be critical.
Your choice.
Objectively so.
Go ahead.
I think it's a very loaded statement to just say because somebody is working on a very high quality smartphone.
Yeah.
To compare that person with a Steve Jobs, because I feel what Steve Jobs stood for was bigger than smartphones.
I guess you're right. But there's nothing to say that
this
Michael isn't thinking big. There's something very interesting that's happening on that part of our continent, the western part of our continent. You will remember about 3-4 weeks ago, we did indicate that there is a new car model which was launched in Nigeria.
Oh, okay.
And now Michael Akindele has launched his own brand of smartphone. You want to know what that brand is? Visit our blog page. It is on eNitiate.solutions. Visit it and you can read more about Africa's next Steve Jobs, as we call him.
Cool. And the West includes. Excuse me, I was bad with geography.
You go.
Is Ghana also in the West?
Yes, it is.
But with the good prospects that we have at eNitiate, I'll be doing a lot of African traveling this next couple of months. So
I'm glad you say that.
My geography is going to get better.
It has to. Definitely.
So I saw this on CNN African Voices, and you also picked up on this story. The Professor Francis Kofi Alote.
Yes, we are now going to Ghana, guys. And, we are very proud speaking about people of big repute. And Professor Alote is one of them. He is a mathematical physicist who is Ghanaian, and he is based in his country, which is great because we have a few of awesome netizens, or let me say the continental citizens in this case. They have since left
Afropolitans, maybe.
They have since left the continent, and they're making waves everywhere else but on their own continent. So the likes of Professor Alote, he is still based in Africa and is making the waves from his home country, Ghana. Let's kind of carry on and talk more about Professor Alote, who was featured on CNN over the weekend. He is the president of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Science and a member of a number of international scientific organizations, including the International Institute of Theoretical and Applied Physics. That's kind of a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, and excuse my ignorance.
Yeah,
I heard maths and I heard physics, and I went into my cage.
Yeah, look, it's some of these things are not for everybody. We're good at some things. We're not good at others. Life is meant to be
balanced.
like that. And in fact, we will talk about education on one of the future shows, because there's a story to share actually with the netizens around education and whether should we all be scientists and physicians. But be that as it may, his wish is to see the next Einstein coming from Africa. Now that's big.
Isn't he also a potential Einstein?
Actually, not potential. He has actually launched a few fests. One of which there is a formula, a scientific formula that's named after him.
Get out.
He explains it. I'm not really at his level when it comes to physical formulas. But he explains how he came up with that formula and all those sorts of good things. So if you want to know more about Professor Alote, just check him out on Wikipedia. He's got a long list of achievements, many of them.
Yeah. Now, Ghana also as a country, as we have been doing over the past couple of weeks, is a country worth profiling. And
absolutely.
Just a few stats on the country.
Absolutely. Now, dear netizens, you will know we have made a commitment that when we speak about a country, we will try and expand on it for the purpose of general education, because not all of us know everything about these countries. There's 55 of them, remember? So we will do our bit to really just use this opportunity to educate some of you out there. Okay, about Ghana.
Cool.
It's a country of an estimated number of 27 million people. Very well known for being the first African nation to declare independence from European colonization, and this was in 1957.
Yes, I'm aware of this.
Okay. Its first head of state is Kwame Nkrumah. A lot of us know about Kwame. A lot of us know the name, but we don't know the achievements of this man. Very popular for his Pan-Africanism. And if you want to know anything about Kwame, please take the time, go read up on this man. There's tons and tons of articles about him on Google. It is also the birthplace of Kofi Annan, the former United Nations head and one of the most well-known humanitarians. He's still involved in humanitarian initiatives to this day. I know that he's one of the elders, together with Mama Grasa and the former one of the former American state presidents, Jimmy Carter, and Desmond Tutu. They've come together and they call the elders.
Oh.
And they are the ones who travel around and try and make peace with everybody else and all those sorts of things. They've done a lot of work on the continent itself. Yeah. So that is Ghana's a gift to us. The last thing is that Ghana is bordered by the Ivory Coast in the west, Burkina Faso in the north, Togo in the east, and the Gulf of Guinea and Atlantic Ocean in the south. Netizens who follow our show will remember that we were speaking about Nollywood and Gollywood about a month ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
Indicating the fact that there's a lot of Ghanaian actors who are doing business in Nigeria, and a lot of people don't even know that they are not Nigerian. So there's a lot of cultural exchange that's happening between Ghana and Nigeria. So that's a bit about Ghana and its stats.
Sure. 8:42.
Yeah.
We've literally touched on the major stories that had to do with the African continent.
Absolutely.
And with what? About over 15 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Now
can I say something just quickly in closing on Ghana? I was debating whether I should include this because we are about digital Africa. We're not about other topics which are covered by the likes of Bravita Khomeswana. I'm really very proud of that gentleman. He's really holding the torch when it comes to business Africa. And in fact, he calls himself Victor Africa. For those of you who want to know more about Victor Khomeswana, his Twitter handle is Victor Africa, and he wrote a book which is Africa is Open for Business, and it's doing really very well. Anyway, Ghana is also well known for cocoa.
But Nigeria is also known for the cocoa.
But Ghana, in fact, the one country that gets spoken a lot about when it comes to cocoa, which is used for chocolate, is actually the Ivory Coast. But I read somewhere that Ghana, it is estimated that by the end of 2016, it will be the largest cocoa exporter in the world.
The Nigerian-born Dibanj will contest that any day to say the largest cocoa is from Nigeria.
It will be interesting to actually check the stats, and I'd love to do so we can come back next week and give the netizens feedback on it, because Nigeria in the latest era has not really been known for its agriculture. It was very big way back when, but lately they've really lost sight of agriculture because they are the 6th largest exporter of oil, and Ghana incidentally is the 8th largest from the continent.
I'm just playing with your mind. You will laugh when you find out.
You're very naughty, Vince.
Yeah, you will laugh when you find out what the Nigerian-born Dibanj's interpretation of the cocoa is.
Oh my lord! So
some netizens know.
Me
yeah, some netizens know what I'm talking about, but this is a side chat,
I suppose.
Let's cross over to overseas matters as we look at the global digital sphere.
Yeah.
Or must we take a pause?
I think we must.
Okay. So
we'll be back in a mo, dear netizens.
Okay, we're back after this.
Welcome back, dear netizens. You are listening to eNitiate Visual Radio, and we are broadcasting from www.radiojunto.co.za. This is Brawili.
And I'm Vince West, and we represent eNitiate. And you can go through to www.eNitiate.solutions to find out more about us.
Absolutely. And this show is about showcasing digital Africa, and we try and keep it as authentic as we claim it to be.
So we are now in the final section, and we're talking about the global news that made headlines, and they are of a digital sphere.
Absolutely.
You've got some stuff, and I've also got some stuff to do with Elon Musk,
which is great. So do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
You go. Let me go first.
Yeah.
Because it seems like we also watch the same television programs. Because
it said that we talk about Elon in global terms when in fact he is
South African.
Yeah, hey?
Yeah, but it's actually good. It's not sad.
Well, I can only wish that Elon was doing what he's doing in the US. I wish he was doing it here in South Africa, but it's always debatable because it's issues of resources and so on and so on.
Food for thought indeed.
Yeah.
So I also realized that Tesla is preparing to offer a hands-free steering car model.
My lord.
Yeah.
These guys are blazing, aren't they?
Yeah, I saw this on CNN this past weekend.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting development because Tesla have been crafting and honing their skills, and they are ready to launch this product into the world. So apparently this car model that they're working on will be able to park itself.
My lord.
Yep.
So they have leapfrogged the likes of Google then.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. It's anyway, as long as there's competition, it means that competitive pricing will prevail.
It's funny you saying that because Tesla is actually the first electrical car model which is priced at premium. It's the first one.
The rest are priced at below premium, meaning they're easily accessible to normal.
I mean, think of Toyota Prius.
Of course,
it is definitely not at the Tesla level. Yeah. Okay. So Tesla is the first one, and to the best of my knowledge, it's still the only one. Even though I've seen that BM has also come out with their own
hybrid model.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you look at the BM model, it's definitely not at the level of Tesla.
Funny you should say that. I've never seen a Tesla model. I've heard and read about it.
I saw
but
it
never
once
saw
when
it.
I was in Chicago.
Last year?
Last year, yeah. I saw it on the road, and I was like, "Wow, there's Tesla!"
Okay.
Which is quite interesting, but there's not many of them because it's not cheap. It's really not cheap.
Okay, what else happened globally, Brawili?
Well, on a quick one, we spoke about Mayweather and the Pac-Man fight that's coming in May last week, and really we spoke about this fight in the context of branding because we spent a bit of time talking about online branding and the things that you can do to really raise your profile. I just want to mention in passing, last week we said that the purse for Mayweather was estimated at $100 million. That has gone up, and it's almost double now. It's estimated at $180 million.
The reason being?
Sponsorships and the pay-per-view interest that's coming in, and all those sorts of things. So they're all adding up in Mayweather's favor. Well, the Pac-Man is not that far behind, because last week we said his purse was estimated at $30 million. It's now estimated at 100.
Sure.
So everybody is winning between the two of them. So I guess all that they'll be fighting for is pride, not money, because they have made money long before they even enter that ring.
Sure.
I'd love to be in those guys' space.
All that much money in one lifetime, eh?
Tell you.
Yeah.
So it was really just saying stuff is happening in that regard. Let's talk about the more interesting digital stuff. Vince, you gotta help me with the pronunciation here because I asked you offline. Now I have forgotten. Can you please pronounce it for me so that we can get into it?
Okay, Heuer.
Cool. Thank you, man.
Right.
I watch CNN a lot, and I know that Heuer is being what's the word? Advertised quite a lot on CNN. It's a very highly priced timepiece. And one wouldn't be expecting that it would be playing in some spaces because they've really niched themselves in a big way. And in the last 7 days, the CEO of Heuer, Mr. Jean-Claude Beaver, I hope I'm pronouncing his surname correctly. He took a photo with Larry Page from Google, and I don't know who was this guy, from Intel. Heuer are going into a partnership with Google and Intel to develop a smartwatch for their brand.
Apple is bringing the heat.
Absolutely.
Apple is bringing the heat.
And the interesting thing about this is that everybody was saying, but this Apple smartwatch is not anything new. There is no groundbreaking features here, and so on and so on. Whatever is the case, Apple has now brought a change into yet another industry.
Thought leadership.
They really are good at what they do, these guys.
I hope Michael is also thinking along these lines, because if he's to be compared to Steve Jobs, then definitely he's an African that is capable of going on to the next step and also producing a smartwatch. Why not?
I really wish him well, Michael. As we said, if you want to know any more about this 30-year-old Nigerian, Michael Akindele, visit our blog page on eNitiate.solutions and read more about him as the next Steve Jobs from Africa.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that watch. That collaborative not even iWatch, that smartwatch. I guess we'll just have to watch this space.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Okay, and now moving on to Microsoft. We know that there have been lots of changes at Microsoft lately. We know that they're dropping the brand name Nokia. They are going with their own brand name. They will be launching, if they haven't done so already, a mobile smartphone to be exact, called Microsoft Lumia. And we learned in the past day that they are also now dropping Internet Explorer browser.
Hey, when was the last time I ever used
I actually wanted to find out from you, when last did you use Internet? What browser do you use now, Vince?
I use Google Chrome.
I do too, and I find it to be such an awesome browser to use because it's connected to our other business accounts. And we must say this to you, fellow netizens who are in business out there: if you want the best insofar as cloud services, email, and all those sorts of good things, you must consider Google Apps, the best of the lot.
So Microsoft are finally laying Internet Explorer to rest. And how long has it been in operation?
20 years. It's been around for 20 years.
It's as old as our freedom right here in South Africa.
It certainly is.
Sure.
And the funny thing about Microsoft, and I'm hoping that they will really change this at quite a speed, they are battling to innovate, those guys, eh?
I think I'm with you on that.
They're battling to innovate.
And this is also partly what led to the demise of Nokia.
Absolutely.
Or even the slow development rate.
Yep. We know that at one stage Microsoft's contribution to computers in the world was more than 95%.
Yeah.
More than 95%. Now think of it this way. Their biggest leverage was the Office documents. That was their biggest leverage, because with every computer came the Microsoft Office.
Yeah.
But now, if bandwidth is cheap and we can access Google,
we don't need Office.
We don't need Office. We can use Google Docs, which is what we're doing at eNitiate already. The last time I used Microsoft Office, dear netizens, was more than 5 months ago. I haven't used Microsoft Office for more than 5 months.
And we use docs literally daily.
Absolutely. So it already says that, we are seeing the bandwidth costs trending downwards, which then means we will be able to be online literally 24/7. And as soon as that happens, very few people are going to be using Microsoft Office, because the greatest thing with using Google Docs is that they are saving on the cloud as you work on them, and you can do collaborations. And I know that Microsoft has got this feature under Drive One. I think that's what they call their cloud service.
Okay.
But man, I love Google Apps. I hate to be saying this about them because they don't pay me, but I'm really very happy with Google Apps because of the offerings that it has.
Yeah, so it is finally bringing Internet Explorer to rest after more than 20 years. So we'll see what the next chapter of Microsoft is, eh?
I actually wish them well. Microsoft has got Skype, which they bought at quite a hefty price. I think it was estimated at $8.5 billion at that stage, or something that crazy. They haven't done much about Skype. I don't know what their plans are. I hope they turn those plans around quite quickly, because we know that even with their operating system, mobile operating system, it took forever to come off ground. And the last time I checked, the contribution of their operating system to the mobile world was sitting at under 3%.
So the market was clearly not taking up, eh?
No. The leaders are obviously Android and iOS. Nokia was the third in a row, followed by BlackBerry, but BlackBerry has been taking quite a pounding. And Microsoft was sitting at a piddly 3%. I don't see them gaining ground. Well, good luck to them with Microsoft Lumia. Hopefully it will help them. But they have lost out on the race. They really have.
Yeah. With 2 minutes to go, Brawili, we're almost at the end of our race. But we've got one more story. And it's kind of like building up to what's coming up next week, correct?
Absolutely. We have been seeing, Vincent, in fact, a bit of the context now that we're 2 minutes to go. You've been listening to eNitiate Visual Radio. We are broadcasting on www.radiojunto.co.za. We really bring digital Africa to the world. Now, here's a closing story. In South Africa, up until fairly recently, the only way to have fixed line internet was through a phone line. So you couldn't have fixed line internet without a phone line.
Yeah.
Which a lot of companies have been complaining about, and even individuals, because I don't need a phone line. Everyone in my household, all the four of us have got mobile phones. So why do we need a landline for? But if you needed to have a fixed line internet line, you needed to have a phone line through Telkom, obviously. But we're seeing an increase insofar as fiber optic based internet services go, bandwidth services. And the question that we are asking is, does that mean that home telephone line requirement that has been part of fixed internet for such a long time is not a requirement anymore? Any one of you netizens out there, South African netizens that is, tell us. Go on to our social network accounts and tell us if it's still a requirement or not. And on that note, I'm signing out. This is Brawili.
For eNitiate Visual Radio Show, I'm also Vince West. Thank you for making the time to be with us.
Awesome. We'll speak to you again in a week's time. Connect with us on the various social networks. We'd love to hear what you think of the show. Adios.